The Mavericks finished the fight and KO the Suns for their 15th win in their last 19 games. We're going to break it all down. Coming up next here on the Dallas Mavericks postgame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, Dlls Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, and our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are Dlls Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. The Mavericks finished the fight, KO the Phoenix Suns to get their 15th win in their last 19 games as they take care of business. No Luka, no problem. The Mavericks win 98-89. 5 guys in double figures as the Mavericks find a way to get it done on the road over the Phoenix Suns to get their first win over the Suns this season. We'll break it down for you over the next hour plus. We really appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you're here. We'll shout you out in the chat as well. Let us know your thoughts and your feelings on the Mavericks getting a gutsy win tonight against the Phoenix Suns, gentlemen, as the Mavericks continue to be one of the hottest teams in the league, overcoming adversity without their superstar, using some grit and some toughness, all the buzzwords you want to use, gentlemen. The Mavericks found a way to get it done to take out Kevin Durant and Phoenix tonight.
The sky is not falling. The Mavericks' hopes this season are not burning. This is a good team. It's a very good team. They can survive without Luka. They did. Look at the defense. Look at Maxi off the bench. Great win. Fun fireworks kind of in the middle. Pretty good times.
Yeah, before the game, we said they're going to have to win with defense. Don't worry about replacing scoring. Worry about locking them down on the defensive end. Try and get some easy buckets in transition. They did that. They did both of those things. Guys made enough shots. That was like the perfect NBA game, you know, as a fan. It was kind of ugly, but it was also kind of cool. There was some star power. There was a lot to get mad about. And don't worry, we all got mad about it too. And I'll let you know just how mad I got about it.
Yeah.
But then your team prevails in the end, and you have some unlikely heroes along the way. It was awesome. That was a great win. That was a fantastic win. I'm cracking one open, unlike Jusuf Nurkic after tonight's win. And, yeah, I'm sweating a lot right now, but I feel great.
Yeah, that was a very impressive start to life, actually. Start to at least a month without Luka Doncic, because early in the third quarter, they were suddenly without Luka Doncic, Derek Lively. There was so much focus and concern about the state of Luka. We've barely touched on Lively, and in that chaotic fourth quarter comeback that the Mavs tried to stage against the Wolves, Mike Conley went careening into Derek Lively. It did not look good in the moment. Lively played on, but post-game in the halls, as everybody's, trying to figure out just how bad the Luka situation is, there were a few of us saying, man, that Lively play did not look good. Is he going to be able to shake that off? And obviously the answer was no. And then you lose both Naji Marshall and P.J. Washington to ejection to win in Phoenix. Okay, the Suns didn't have Devin Booker, but to be without 4 key guys and find a way to pull out that victory when spirits are low from the jump, pretty impressive.
The Mavericks felt like they won a game that was kind of a throwback to the 90s. A lot of defense, not some great shooting, some physicality obviously in this game as well. But the Mavericks were the ones that held their composure together. We'll obviously get to what was the biggest moment of this game that came with 9 minutes left in that third quarter between Jusuf Nurkic, Daniel Gafford, P.J. Washington, and the aforementioned Naji Marshall. But to run down some of the numbers from tonight's game, You got to give a big shout out to Maxi Kleber tonight, who played his best game of the season, 15 points, 7 rebounds for the Dallas Mavericks. Big time shot making from him. He had a great game. Kyrie Irving got started well in this game, went 4 of 4 to start off the game. Finished the game 2 of his last 17 and going 6 of 21 overall from the game, but he still finished the game with 20 points. And just to kind of put some perspective on this game, the Mavericks are now 7-2 without Luka Doncic this year, but more importantly as well, 9-2 in their last 11 games on the road. This is a team that's all of a sudden turned into road warriors and finding different ways to win games. Bobby mentioned it a little bit ago. Whether you're winning in a fancy way with the offense or you're winning ugly, the Mavericks are finding different ways to win these games, and they did so again against the Phoenix Suns team that, as Mark mentioned, without Devin Booker, Kevin Durant with over 30 points in this game. But, Tim, the Mavericks were the ones who played with the kind of composure that they needed to, and it was their defense especially that will be one of the stories of this game, holding the Suns team to under 90 points tonight.
It was important. I mean, every year, Maxi does this. For a couple months, they're like, what's he doing? Got to trade him. You know, that shot's not going in. He's in a slump. Is he ever going to be the same? He comes back. It happens every time. It's a repeating circle. You know, he's going to be doing this in a decade. A 42-year-old Maxi. You know.
Well, the coaches don't want to hear it because no matter how many times we bring it up, nobody believes us. But it's the stuff you can't see in a box score, the communication,
yes,
the positioning, the defensive quarterbacking. But these last few games, he has rediscovered his offense. Tonight was the best Maxi Kleber game of the season at
One of
both
the best ones
ends
of his career.
Yeah, I mean, he was, and you can see the way the guys root for him. Against Minnesota, he had that lucky bounce 3 that went down, but just like the guys on this team are willing some of these shots to go down because, Moxie's been going through it offensively, and it's come together for him in these last few games. And he is still a very important part of this team, especially when you're down Lively and then you lose P.J. Washington and you still got to deal with Kevin Durant on the other side. And I just want to shout out, I saw a couple people. I think Eduardo Garcia's here. Garbo Flo is here. I see some Spanish flags. Guys, I'm jealous. If you're really watching from Spain, I know it's morning there, but man, love Spain.
So Dallas,
please go at your soonest opportunity, and have some wonderful tapas on my behalf, because just seeing those flags, I get wistful.
Dallas won without scoring 100 points. Would you guys like to guess how many times? It was the first time this season. Would you like to guess? Would you like to guess the last time? How many times they did that last season? Winning a game without scoring 100 points.
It couldn't have been no more than like 3 or 4 times.
Twice last season.
0.
They didn't do it any times?
Okay.
No.
Can I give you another stat that's going to make the Corella Strader happy?
Wow.
Mavericks now 19-0 this season when leading after 3 after holding on 46 in a row.
Get up 5 and park that bus. Park the bus, build a lead and sit on it, and it's great. Maxi is such a confidence-driven player.
Yes.
Like, in the first half of that Minnesota game, he did not want anything to do with the ball. He's catching the ball, not even looking at the rim, immediately looking, okay, where can I go into a DHO? Who wants it? Where's my defender? Who is he furthest away from? I'm going to throw it to that guy. Luka goes down, and it's like, Maxi, you don't have the luxury of passing it back anymore. There's no one to pass it back to. You have to take these shots. And he sees a couple go through the net. Tonight, his first attempt was beautiful. Like, silky smooth finish. No hesitation, all confidence, all feel.
2 dunks, too?
Yes, 2 dunks. And the key defensive play of the game, like right at the – I mean, it wasn't the key defensive. They were already up, but, like, the game-sealing defensive like, he can – he's the kind of guy, just like Tim Hardaway Jr. You think back to Tim, during his time with the Mavs. You have one good game, and that he can ride that thing for a month.
Yeah.
You know? And again, like, I'm talking about the structure of a boat here, right? You can withstand a couple compartments flooding and stay afloat. You cannot stand 5, 6 compartments flooding. You're down Luka, you're down Lively. In this game, you were also down PJ, you were down Naji. You need
Kyrie
other guys to step up.
Half.
Yeah, Kyrie, they basically won this game without Kyrie.
Yeah.
He was 2 for his last 17. But enough other guys stepped up. Dinwiddie, 15 off the bench. despite me pulling out so many of my hairs watching him play throughout most of this game. Maxi, 15 points off the bench. Quentin Grimes hit a major shout-out to McMahon cojones shot in the fourth quarter.
Don't shout out.
With Kyrie on the bench. He hits a
There's only
huge
one
three.
Tim we shout out on this podcast.
It's just everybody made plays, and in these games, especially against the good teams, for the Mavs to keep this thing afloat without Luka, every single guy is going to need to have moments. Every guy is going to have games. Every guy is going to have to make shots. And they did it tonight, and it was awesome.
The last time the Mavericks won, scoring under 100 points, won a game, scored less than 100, was against Phoenix, in fact, in January 2023. It's a 99-95 win.
Oh, I remember that game well.
Oh, do you?
Yes, Dwight Powell came in the game late and out-wrestled
got hurt that
DeAndre
game.
Ayton for an offensive. Yeah, Luka got hurt right in the first
Yeah,
quarter.
he played 3:21.
Dwight got a big offensive rebound off a missed free throw in the closing seconds to help the Mavs seal the game.
Spencer Dinwiddie had 36 points.
We know
that game.
Spencer likes to play well when it comes to being in a Mavericks uniform and doing it in Phoenix. He had 15 points tonight as well. A couple of moments that the guys have mentioned that were big, especially in that fourth quarter. Bobby mentioned one of them. The Suns had pulled within 6 at 81-75 with 6.5 minutes left. The Quentin Grimes knocked down a three-pointer. That pushed the lead back up to 9 with 6:11 left in that fourth quarter. Maxi Kleber, we mentioned with the 15 points in the game. He had a bailout floater with the shot clock running down. That came with 4:11 left in the fourth quarter. Then had a steal on the very next possession and was able to knock down 2 free throws. That put the Mavericks up by 15 at 90-75. He also had a beautiful pass to Daniel Gafford that gave the Mavericks a 10-point lead with just over a minute left at 94-84. Big plays made down the stretch by the veteran Maxi Kleber, who has been much maligned so far this year. But the reason why the Mavericks continue to have him on this team, you saw it tonight, whether it was on the defensive end or making some big plays on the offensive end.
It's for the one-legged floaters. That's why they have Maxi on this team.
Because
you always know he's going to hit one of those.
Have you guys seen the alert chatters who are pointing us to Naji Marshall's Twitter page?
Yes.
And have you guys looked yet at Naji Marshall's Twitter page?
I have not.
Tanner, can you pull it up? Is it possible to pull it up?
Apparently, Naji Marshall
Just for the
changed
good of the game?
header of his X account.
Let's go, Naji.
That we are going to apparently show you here in just a second.
His
Now,
timeline is nothing but prayer is good, God rules,
and then what does he have
and
up
his
there?
header is just him knocking the. I can't say that word.
No,
out of Jusuf Nurkic.
It's like you guys know that it's quarterback tweet and they're like God is good, like running back is derp, and wide receiver is like the enemy speaks softly but carries a knife, and his header is doing that. His header is the receiver version of that tweet, and then everything else is just like
The
running
knife!
back.
Dude, what a
Annoying.
guy. We have to get Naji on the show.
Absolutely.
We have to. He is like the coolest player ever.
They're back in
Maxi's
town. I'm going to tell him he's got to come on.
Maxi's last game with at least 15 points and 7 rebounds came on his 30th birthday, January 29th,
And he's 37 now.
No,
that was
no, he is
7
not.
years ago. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
God, Naji Marshall is
That's
so cool.
good. Hey,
Wait,
why don't
wait,
we
so for-
follow?
wait
Why
for-
don't we follow Naji Marshall?
Fix that.
Fix that, Tanner.
Fix it.
It's okay. For the podcast portion of the program, for those who are listening to this, the picture that Naji Marshall has in his header is him hitting Jusuf Nurkic with the straight right hand as Jusuf Nurkic is starting to fall down before eventually both of them get ejected. But yes, you should check out at Marshall_Naji8 on X if you want to see.
The knife!
I think that we in agreement that Naji Marshall is our podcast favorite player. Like, is Naji Marshall the official mascot of the Dlls Mavs podcast?
I think it's getting close. It's getting pretty close.
Like, I think he's our champion.
yeah, like the spirit animal for our
If
podcast.
he makes an
is-
in-studio appearance, that will probably clinch
Oh
it.
my God. Oh my God.
If Naji Marshall makes the appearance in the podcast, obviously all of us have to be on the show. But yes, with Mark randomly shouting out the knife every time, and now tonight with him punching Jusuf Nurkic in the next week,
Right.
I think he has become the spirit animal of the DLS Mavs podcast.
He is
Right.
the coolest.
We won't tell Omax, though, that you.
I was gonna say,
that you're
like,
leading
this
this
is
campaign.
rough.
Yeah, we'll hide the picture of Bobby being happy that
I mean,
Omax.
for me, it's still Gortman, but
Oh,
y'all
Gortman
can
too.
have your Naji support.
That's the okay. Real quick, a forced sentimentalism. 3 years ago, there was like 2 or 3 guys that everyone agreed, like, oh, I love that player, and it was so uncool to like all these other guys on the team. But like, the team is really good. It's so much fun to like all these guys. Quentin Grimes like their 10th man most nights, and we're all like, we swear he's good. He's awesome. You know, like there's just so many players on this team that are fun to root for.
Harrison Barnes was boring. Wesley Matthews shot too much.
Yeah,
DeAndre
DSJ
Jordan
had bad body language.
was
the slander.
I'm just like, these are the narratives going on around them at the time. This is how Mavs fans
But like
felt.
even good teams like
And-
Dorian and Reggie
yeah.
can't do anything with the ball,
You know,
and Dwight
like,
Powell sucks. And like, all
DeAndre
this, it's like,
Jordan
no, dude.
was okay. DeAndre Jordan actually did suck when he was with the Mavericks.
This team is
He was
so
washed
cool.
at that point. He was
All the
washed.
players are so cool.
Yeah.
That ejection sucked, and we're going to talk about that soon. And sorry, Kevin.
No, you're good. Shout out to Fred. Let's throw up Fred's comment real quick because he is absolutely right. That Naji Marshall had his Runet Odor, Jose
he
Bautista
didn't connect,
moment.
though.
It doesn't
No,
matter.
you have to
It was
connect.
good enough.
It was good enough. Shout out to you, Fred Sanford. Good show, by the way. Never mind. But really appreciate all of you watching. Did you get the reference?
I didn't know.
Yeah, you've
I
actually
enjoyed
like.
it.
Yeah.
You're not old enough to like some of these shows that you like. So this is a major chapeau because like you're not old enough to like that show, but you do like it. Respect.
I'm a Nick at Night guy.
Respect.
I'm a Nick at
Respect.
Night guy. So shout out to Sanford and Son.
I thought the only TV show you've watched was Bluey.
I do like
I'm
that
learning-
show too.
I'm learning a lot about you.
You have learned a lot about me. Really appreciate all of you joining us. Mavericks get it done 98-89. Much more on this game, including coming up next here on the Dlls Mavs podcast. The turning point in this game, you know what it was. We know what it was. We're going to talk about Naji Marshall's epic moment as the Mavericks finish the fight against the Suns. All that and more coming up next here on the Dlls Mavs postgame show.
P.J. Washington threw Jusuf Nurkic to the ground. And you know what? It probably hurt a little bit more out there in Phoenix because I doubt they use flooring from our friends at Empire today, where you can get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of horrible court designs or choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles, and you can shop for floors where you use your floors, from at home, in your jammies, in your lighting, in your decor. You can see exactly what your new flooring would look like, which is really important because with new flooring, you get one shot, right? If you get this thing set and you hate it, you're stuck with it. But with Empire today, you can see exactly what it will look like before you fork over the cash. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can save some cash. You can receive a $350 off discount when you use promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
Let me talk to you about Game Time real quick. If you love going to sporting events, concerts, movies, you got to use Game Time to get your tickets. I use Game Time to be able to purchase my tickets to go to WrestleMania in April. It's coming up really fast, April 19th and 20th at Allegiant Stadium. Get to see John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and all the WWE superstars. Game Time was able to help me purchase my tickets. I got panoramic seat view, so I knew exactly where I was going to sit before I purchased my tickets. They got all in pricing as well, so there was no surprise fees when I went to check out my tickets to be able to get them through Game Time. So you could take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Gentlemen, what time is it?
Game time?
I'll be using Game Time on Tuesday. My Sabres are in town for their annual visit.
There you go. Mark Stein using the Game Time app to go see some Stars in Sabres hockey. Unfortunately, the Stars fell tonight to the Minnesota Wild in a disappointing game. But the Mavericks picked the Stars up with the win tonight, 98-89. The Mavericks now 15-4 in their last 19 games, continuing.
They are a good team. A very good team.
Get
Yes.
over it.
I think Bobby said that one time. Their Mavs are good, so get over it. And they continue to prove how good they were, even in what was at times an ugly basketball game. Not great shooting from either side. If you love 90s basketball, tonight was your night because it was a little bit of a throwback out in the Valley of the Sun. But the Mavericks were the ones that had the composure down the stretch, which gets us, gentlemen, to our turning point of tonight's game. You know what it was. We know what it was. Let us know how you felt in the chat. At 9:02, Daniel Gafford draws an offensive foul on Jusuf Nurkic and Bobby Karalla. Hell breaks loose from there because Jusuf Nurkic decided to be, you know what, and Naji Marshall and his teammates were sticking up for the guy, Daniel Gafford.
Yeah, Nurkic lowers his shoulder into Daniel Gafford's jaw. Gafford's on the ground, and someone said something to Nurkic as Nurkic is walking away. He's out near midcourt. There's 4 Mavs standing in the lane. Nurkic is pissed off because he's having a really bad game like he usually does. And he turns around.
Correction. He hasn't had bad games against Dallas this year. Tonight,
That's true.
He was awful.
That's true. So this is a break from routine for him.
That's right.
But he heard something he didn't like, turned around, and started walking toward 4 Mavs. Okay, in that moment, there's 4 of you and 1 of him, and he just committed what might have been a flagrant foul. And you said something to him, and he's getting in people's faces. And so Naji Marshall goes up and, gives him one of these, gives him a little shove.
He does.
Now, it was maybe more than a little shove. Nurkic didn't like it, and so he puts his palm right in Naji's dome.
It was like a half punch, half mush.
It was a swipe.
Yeah.
It was a swipe.
Yeah.
And
It
basically,
was a cradle.
Yeah,
it was a high-speed cradle.
He slaps the knife right across the face, and Naji took exception to that and decided to throw a punch. And violence is never the answer, okay? But if big 7-foot dude comes in and tries to bully you, you have 2 choices. Naji made the one that is a little more explosive, and it looked for about a half a second like Naji and Nurkic were about to go fisticuffs. Like they were about to settle this on the court. P.J. Washington comes and shoves Nurkic out of the way, which probably saved Naji about 10 games worth of suspension, if I can be honest. But for some idiotic reason, results in PJ getting ejected from the game. And so the Suns' worst starter, one of their worst on-off players all season, gets 2 of the Mavericks' most important players in this game ejected.
3 of the Mavs' best players.
Yes.
3 of the Mavs got
That is a
best players
huge
all
win
got
for
ejected.
Phoenix.
Yeah, the Suns wish they could make half a trade half that good between now and February.
Damn, Stein.
They're
Wow.
trying like hell to get Nurkic off their team.
Look at
like,
Stein off the top
It was
rope.
such a ridiculous ruling.
But wait, hold on.
It's horrifyingly
hold on.
stupid.
You can't, even if you can't shove a player to the ground.
Correct.
So
The only
how
reason-
how is that not an ejection?
Because Nurkic fell to the ground because he does what he always does. He feels a little contact and he falls down.
But-
because he is 280 pounds of nothing.
even if there was some flopping involved, I mean, it was a blatant shove in the middle of a scrum.
I agree.
It
I
didn't
still don't
warrant
think
an
he should have been
ejection,
ejected.
I thought.
Still don't
I'm not
think he
going to lie
should have
to
been
you. I
ejected.
thought the ejection was bad because you already had punches thrown by Nurkic and by Marshall. That's warranting an ejection immediately. The push warranted a technical for sure, but an ejection I don't think was necessary. They went from no technical to straight ejection.
I think the refs are looking at it like if now a third person's in, then it could escalate from there. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It didn't come anywhere close to the ferociousness of the swipe and what Naji was trying to do had his punch landed, but it is still.
Which is why I thought the ejection was a little much. The technical I thought would have been appropriate.
I just think it
given the
sends a
situation.
really first off, this is about morality, right? One of them attacks one of mine. What am I supposed to do? This is the game. This is a teamwork game, right? Their biggest guy just tried to bully one of my teammates. Like, I'm not going to let that
So
happen.
had a Sun shoved PJ to the ground, you would have been like, okay, cool tech.
Well, if PJ shoves Nurkic and then a Suns player shoves PJ, those 2 guys are probably fighting. So, like, I think my bigger issue is that the harsher punishment, or in this case, an excessively, in my opinion, harsh punishment, always goes on the guy that reacts to the belligerent D-bag that made this whole thing happen. If Nurkic just walks down the floor and holds his L like
Rack
the
that
loser
one,
that
Tanner.
he is, then none of that would have happened. But that guy has such a short temper and such an inferiority complex that he took exception to something that P.J. Washington said, and it results in 2 Mavs getting suspended.
I'm getting the
The-
vibe you do not want Dallas to trade for Nurkic.
I hate watching that guy play basketball. He is such a malcontent. He is such a nuisance on the floor all of the time.
Cook, Bobby.
He's at the center of every single tiff that ever happens with any team that he's on. And he's such a soft guy on social, too.
Cook, Bobby.
He's probably going to find this clip and tweet about me. You're welcome for making you more relevant than you deserve to be.
Cook, Bobby.
The provocation was always on him.
I'm sorry for making this show about me.
The
Too
physical
late.
the
Too
physical
late.
provocation was him walking back. There is verbal provocation that happens in every single NBA game, every single quarter of every single NBA game. There's taunts, there's people talking back and forth. The physical provocation that started the whole thing was Nurkic walking back into the play. And the other
After
thing
committing a really dirty foul. Like, not dirty, but just...
and the other thing we're
top.
forgetting. Phoenix got a free throw out of it.
Yes!
Yes, they did.
And so I actually come down on look, I think that Nurkic just, flopped on over.
How does the whole chat room know every bit of show terminology we have? Tanner, make that a short.
I think if Nurkic, like the big boy he's supposed to be, the beefy Bosnian beast, as is his Twitter handle.
Wow,
I think
that's
if he
some
takes
alliteration.
2 steps backwards as a big man who just got shoved, is most likely to do in any situation where he's not going to be rewarded for falling down. If he takes 2 steps backward, then P.J. Washington stays in the game. But I think, to me, even the bigger issue is that the punishment doled out. Okay, so if you deem that P.J. Washington has to be ejected, okay, whatever, fine. There is no scenario where the provoker, the team of the provoker should get a free throw out of that exchange.
Yeah.
It's all his fault.
It's also technical. It's also like, well, the rule book says this. Like the NBA has done this. So think back to when Kristaps Porzingis got ejected from the playoffs against the Clippers.
Terrible moment.
An atrocious moment. That was
coming in to help his teammate. He's helping his teammate.
He was in the first one. The first one was because he what did he do? He
fist air punch.
That's right. Air punch. And so the NBA is like, well, what if we just define everything in legalese? Then we will solve it, and there will be no bias, and there will be no room for interpretation. I remember writing a long column about it then. The NBA has tried to solve this because they've tried to put legal terminology into every single action they think can happen, and they've taken out of the referee's discretion. I think, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, like reasonable discretion would say, in no way should the punishment favor the Phoenix Suns because of what Nurkic did. But the NBA has stripped them of that autonomy. They said, you have to obey the rules because this way we don't look, biased towards one team or another. This is what their rules say. Well, you know what you look like instead? You look soft.
Cooked him.
You look soft. You look so soft.
Which is the problem with the league right now, optically speaking.
Yeah, everybody's talking about ratings and threes and all this stuff. Yeah, well, another thing is that, you don't let people play defense and you don't let like a shove, go around. If you have to eject him for that, whatever. Like I think that's soft. That is going to come across as soft. If you choose that you are just going to be a league that gets portrayed in that way sometimes, that is a choice you're making. But I just hate that the autonomy has been taken out of the referee's discretion to come up with some sort of punishment, that ultimately, inflicts what should be, a punishment on Phoenix and Nurkic, Nurkic's team. And then all of a sudden, it's Phoenix that literally was rewarded for it. Literally, Phoenix Suns fans are on Twitter saying, this was the best play Nurkic made all year.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it was based off. Look, the Mavericks were the ones that were able to hold themselves together after that initial moment. Yes, the Suns made that 12-2 run to cut it to 8 going into the fourth quarter, but the Mavericks initially were able to respond better. And I'll say this quickly on the whole situation as well. Okay, so Naji Marshall and Nurkic get the double technicals. That should have been what we like to call in the NFL, Bobby, offsetting penalties, okay?
Right.
Like, nobody gets a free throw there. Obviously, the free throw was awarded because PJ got the technical and got ejected. So now with no one else getting a technical foul.
And he absolutely should have got a tech.
The tech would have been warranted. It was fine. The ejection was, to me, overkill. But that's where they get the awarded free throw.
Why couldn't they have just given him 2 techs? I don't know. Just make it up. Give Nurkic 2 techs, and that at least equals everything out.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There should not have been a free throw shot because of that.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying,
certainly at minimum, none in either direction.
Well,
at minimum.
Well, if it had just been Nurkic and Marshall getting the double technicals, that washes it out. Everybody wash your hands and let's continue to play.
If only pool reporter Tim Cato was in Phoenix tonight to ask these questions.
Get someone on the scene. I do want to go back to something that Jared said in the chat. So Jared said, here's a trick to not get ejected. Don't push a guy. Jared, you're absolutely right. I just said violence is not the answer.
Well,
However,
I
would say if you don't want there to be a fight, don't be a 7-foot softy and turn around when someone hurts your fifis. Don't create a problem. Walk down the court and hold your L like the loser you are. I just went over this. Nurkic caused that problem to happen.
He got the line in, Tanner. He got it in.
Don't cry over spilled milk, but don't spill the milk. How about if I say something that makes you mad and then you get mad and yell back at me? It's my fault because I said something mean to you. Like, I created the situation.
Yeah,
right?
Nurkic was the one that initiated all this.
If you
with
can't
the
say the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, with the offensive foul. Like, you basically elbow Daniel Gafford in the face. Like what?
Which again,
the question I have is
the league is at a point now, Kevin, where if there wasn't any sort of conflict after that play, they probably would have reviewed that play.
Exactly.
That's how sensitive everything is, and I believe rightfully so, because injuries are bad. Okay, I think we can all agree injuries suck, violent plays suck. It's a very dangerous sport, despite what all the football-loving haters on Twitter want to tell you that the NBA is so soft or whatever. They would have reviewed that play, and Nurkic probably gets a flagrant foul.
Yeah, he probably
elbowing Gafford in the dome. All right, but instead he takes it one step further and actually gives his team a massive advantage the rest of the game. So we spent most of the second half begging Spencer Dinwiddie to punch his son in the face to help the Mavs have a chance to win.
I've got a solution. Dallas should have been able to choose who got ejected from the Suns roster.
Ooh, I like that.
So they're like, no, actually, you can keep Nurkic in. We actually want him on the court. Maybe the Suns get to protect one player, so it can't be Durant. But you're like, Tyus Jones, you're out of here.
You're out of here. Royce O'Neal, get gone.
Yeah. That would be fair to me.
Either way, the Mavericks were the ones that were able to hold it together down the stretch because the Mavericks were inviting the Suns to take this game. The Suns decided that they wanted to make a shot, did not want to make a shot tonight, and the Mavericks were able to get it done and make the plays they needed to. Shout out to Ben Selheim with the $4.99 super chat before we take our break here. Naji should update his bio, God first, these hands second. Because
good. That's
Naji
really good.
threw them hands tonight. Get these hands, Braun Strowman. That's exactly what happened tonight as Naji Marshall.
I forgot who, but somebody was saying your arm's too short to box with God.
That's a Nas line. Shout out to Katya. That's a Nas line. Your arms are just too short to box with God. That's a classic Nas line, actually.
KD, by the way, said, I'm sorry. He said, quote, "You hate to see that in this game. Unfortunate situation, but I understood both. I understood what Dallas was thinking, their perspective." He's not even defending his own teammate. That is what he thinks about his own teammate.
No, KD just knows the rules. Like, what did he think was going to happen? Your guy got elbowed somebody in the face. You didn't think somebody was going to stick up, not going to stick up for him? Like, come on, man.
And he understands that.
Yeah, KD know the rules.
KD's like, if Nurkic slapped me, I know that I would hope all my boys come help me against that bum.
That's how it works. Them's the breaks.
Sorry, I've been really mean to him in this. I'm sorry.
Those are the rules. But no matter. The
I underestimated your fury about this topic.
We'll get
It's
it.
so lame. It's so lame.
We'll get more in the Bobby's
Don't let a
fury
horrible
here.
player get two good players ejected from the game.
You barely made it to the show on time, but then, man,
Damn,
we
Stein.
can't contain the man
Stein
here.
is in rare form tonight.
I'm just speaking the. I'm just seeing what I observed.
You cooking tonight, Stein. I'm gonna let you have it.
I'm the least. I'm cooking the least of the four.
No. You cooking a lot tonight. You just don't know it yet. Coming up next here on the Dlls Mavs post-game show, we hop into Cato's corner. The defense for the Mavericks tonight was absolutely spectacular, and more thoughts from you guys on how you felt about tonight's win as well. All that and more coming up next here on the Dlls Mavs post-game show.
We're talking about Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water. Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. We've got a cooler here on SEC, a Rugged Road cooler. One of the most unique features about that cooler is their ability to always float upright. You'll never lose a drink. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're crafted to handle the toughest environments, they're built to last, and they can keep up with any adventure. Gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used, Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off.
Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. From our friends at FOCO, they got hoodies, they got shoes, they got signs, they got bobbleheads, and everything in between. What is in between hoodies, shoes, signs, and bobbleheads, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did ask because there's all sorts of stuff. They got overalls. They got team-branded friendship bracelets. They have garden gnomes. They've also got some other stuff that you found that I don't remember what.
They have Cowboys Crocs that I got for Christmas
They have
from my wife
nutcrackers.
and my kid.
Nutcrackers.
KG got a pair of Cowboys Crocs.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
from Foco, from my wife and my daughter. Yeah,
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so if you're going to a game, hey, you can rep your team with all sorts of stuff. You can take a Dallas Mavericks nutcracker with you. I know the season is over, like the Christmas season is over, but there's still a whole lot of basketball left to be played. Hopefully not for Jusuf Nurkic. And they even donated some set decorations to our studio here at DLS Sports. Check out Foco.com and click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code DLLS10 for 10% off.
Nearly 500 people watching us live here on the DLS Maps
go.
post-game show, which I need at least 100 likes by the time we are ending our show. So if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLS Sports here on YouTube, and also download and subscribe.
Let us know where you're watching from also if you're in the mood.
And also download and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast for free.
Can I shout out El Patel real quick in the chat?
Yeah.
Man.
So El Patel during the Nurkic segment said something that was really funny. Nurkic is the kind of guy to take the last slice of pizza from the box, but then put the box like back in the fridge. Like, oh my god, that guy! Like that's
Yeah,
such
that would
a good
earn you a punch
assessment.
in the face.
That's a great
That would definitely
comment.
earn you a
So
punch
just
in-
shout out to El Patel for that.
He's also probably the guy that would, drink the juice and leave like the last little bit in there and be like, dog, this is
Like not enough
That's
to
the-
like.
yeah, to like
this is all backwash.
Yeah, that's so nasty. That's so disgusting. Again,
Selheim's in Norway. He thinks I'm falling for that.
yes, let us know where you're watching
He's Norwegian.
as well.
We've established this.
Yes, but he's Norwegian, but he's here.
It's the holidays. Maybe he went home.
Shout out to Taddy's watching
Winter
in
Park,
Winter Park,
Colorado.
Colorado. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're enjoying
You know
it.
who did not
Philippines in the house.
underestimate your fury tonight?
Who's that?
Cat.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
Cat,
Cat knows.
Cat been in the
stayed
chat.
up,
Yeah.
Cat stayed
Cat
up late
knows.
to make sure she heard every outburst from post Mavs.
Cat is ready to throw them
Illustrator.
hands behind you, Bobby.
Cat knows.
Like, she knows. She ready to throw them hands behind you.
Kat said somebody did that at the office. I'm not sure if she's talking about the juice or the pizza, but
About
oh
leaving,
no! Someone
like,
did put an empty box.
not me.
Someone did put an empty box in the,
The
fridge.
Philippines
promise.
in
No,
the
that
house.
would not be me. Shout out to Brazil. We are a worldwide phenomenon here with DLS Mavs. Shout out to all of you watching us in the United States and around the world as the Mavericks win 98-89, now 15-4 in their last 19 games, 9-2 on the road, also 7-2 without Luka Doncic so far this year. Kyrie Irving leading the way with 20 points, although he missed he made 2 of his last 17 shots. But no matter, it's a team effort and a team win tonight. Image of the year, Naji Marshall punching Jusuf Nurkic in the face. He earned an ejection, but the Mavericks were able to hold it together long enough. Maxi Kleber's best game of the year allows the Mavericks to get it done. And speaking of get it done, Tim Cato, as we hop into Cato's Corner here on the DLS Mavs postgame show, the defense tonight stifling for the Dallas Mavericks, holding the Suns to 89 points on the night. And from jump, the Mavericks utilize a terrific defensive effort to contain the Suns to get the win tonight.
So, going to say 2 conflicting things. Before I do that, I should acknowledge that if you're, Phoenix down Booker and Grayson Allen, not a very good offense. And also, I know we call this Cato's Corner. I don't know who came up with that.
I did.
Oh, well, it's a lovely name. But me and Bobby were talking about this in the entire game. Like these are as much his thoughts as mine. But here's 2 conflicting things. I didn't really like how Dallas was playing defense, like the decisions they were making for some of the game, especially early on. They were just doubling Kevin Durant at almost every juncture, every opportunity. It wasn't, above the break, but, he didn't really have the ball much, But basically anytime he would, get into his high post, mid post actions, Dallas would shade somebody. They would send somebody, they would try to sneak a double in from behind. I didn't love that. And I thought it also contributed. I said early on that, I thought this was just going to wear the team out. And then, halfway through the third quarter, I think Bobby put this in our diehard Discord. He's like, the entire team's tired.
I was active in the Discord
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah. And the team, I think a lot of the missed shots we saw in the third and the fourth quarter came from tired legs because when you double, you have to rotate. You are running all around the court. I didn't love all that. That said, Dallas had a really good defensive night. And you will take that. I do think that as Maxi and his renaissance is beginning a little bit again, and you just have defenders up and down, you're forced to play your defenders. You got to put your defenders out there. Luka is certainly improving on defense, but just having one more guy or one less guy out there who's like a target on that side. And again, not even Luka has improved, but he is targeted every game that he plays in. Every single team targets Luka. There is one less target out there. There are more good defenders on the court. Guys signed to play defense, role players to play defense. I think a huge way Dallas is going to win over the next, month that they have to survive this Luka-less absence. The games they win, they've got to take it seriously on the defensive end. It's
sometimes going to be ugly.
Tonight was very ugly. Like we said, it's been almost 2 years. Almost 2 years since Dallas has won a game without scoring 100 points. But they did so tonight, even shooting, they shot 44% in the end, but 15 turnovers and not a great offensive, obviously not a good offensive performance in the second half particularly. But there is room for this defense to improve. And maybe this is a little bit of a hopium, to use another Bobbyism. But the defense had been sliding a little bit. The defense had not been that impressive against the good teams in the league. Maybe this is the chance for it to get right, because they have no choice. They've got to get it right. They have to go figure it out. If this month, really amps up the defense, if they consistently stay top 10 this season and they kind of carry that forward once Luka gets back, I don't know. Maybe it turns out to be like in a very weird way, almost a positive.
I don't think the way that they defended tonight is. I certainly hope that it's not something that they're going to roll out against a lot of teams. They kind of save this for teams that they consider to have like a mark, or like a guy that you don't have to, I don't know the terminology that they use, but like a guy that you just don't have to guard. So they were leaving
on the
like
pregame show. They literally have done this specifically against Kevin Durant before.
Yeah,
that's where we've seen it before.
Yeah, and you want to make KD a passer, I guess, more than a shooter, but like Josh Okogie, okay, you're maybe not too worried about Josh Okogie shooting. But there were sequences where it almost felt like the wires were getting crossed. Like at one point, Oso was open in the corner, and there was a very famous video of him shooting threes, and everybody was horrified. So he's open in the corner. They leave him open to double KD. He gets the ball, and then guys are like almost like overreacting to the fact that he got the ball. So then you're flying out there, you allow him to put on the floor, get past you, and then he drops it off to a guy, and then it's a pick and roll, and they end up getting a dunk out of it. So it's kind of like you have to, if you're gonna do the bit, commit to the bit, right? Commit to going all the way. Allow that guy to shoot a three. Don't overreact. There was another sequence in the first quarter. Luckily, O'Neal missed the three. He was 4 for 9 for the game, but they kicked it out to Okogie, who was wide open in the left corner. Both Grimes and Maxi sprint out to Okogie, and nobody X's out, or no one does anything, and Royce O'Neal gets a wide open three. And I'm pretty sure that was the one that he missed right at the end of the first quarter. Don't remember because there were a lot of them. But yeah, it's just like if you're going to do it, you have to be super disciplined, because it is a really, really risky way to play. But there aren't a lot of teams that I would consider to be good, or like that pose a lot of mismatch issues the way the Suns do, that also have a bad shooter. Most teams that are really good on offense they just are all good shooters.
And even with Durant having the numbers that he had, and you guys can feel free to disagree if you want to, but I felt like Durant had to earn everything that he got tonight. There were multiple guys, whether it was
when PJ was in the game.
Yeah. Whether it was Washington before he got ejected, Quentin Grimes took a turn on him. Like, there were multiple guys that took turns on Durant. And yes, he wound up going and finishing 11 of 19 from the field, but he earned every bit of what his 35 points were and still finished what was a -3 in this game.
That 1 0 for 2 trip to the line.
You ever seen
that?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Durant miss 2 free throws.
That either.
Yeah.
I was in disbelief.
Stunning.
He scored like 4 points on no threes defense at the end, but yeah, no, he earned his.
In the first half, he had 13 points. He was 5 of 9 from the field, 13 points, no assists. He was having a fine game.
Luke Byrne is watching the show from a stadium, he says, in Australia. Luke Byrne, I need to know, are you watching Aussie Rules? You watching cricket? What are you watching?
Surely Aussie Rules.
You watching us on the Jumbotron?
So are you at an Aussie Rules football game watching our show?
Say hi to my friend Dan Cons.
Is that what's happening? We need to know.
Stein will love this. Ben is watching apparently from Manchester in England.
Now, GM Ben is so close to being banned from this thing. I mean, he is really pushing it. If Tanner teaches, of course I know how to work none of these controls, but if I ever learn how to work any of the any of the
You could
operations
have used your
here.
assistance the other day, dude.
Stein, the
I'll say
day that you get up from that chair and walk behind that computer and start banning folks in the chat is the day
Not folks, just one. Not folks, just one.
The show is officially chaotic. But give the Mavericks a lot of credit.
That's a long walk for the old man, though. Don't worry.
It's a short walk for you. You'll be okay. But look, for the Mavericks to win this game in the fashion that they did, holding it together, making the big plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter is a testament. You can use all the cliches and buzzwords that you want to. This was a tough, gritty win for a team that could have easily let go of the rope at multiple points in this game, but they simply didn't allow it to happen. And these are the kinds of wins that you kind of have to steal if you're going to find yourself playing the kinds of games to keep yourself afloat while your superstar is on the mend and trying to get back to your team. A game and a win like this, I think, will do a lot for the confidence for this team, knowing that they stuck together when adversity hit them throughout the course of this game, and to find a way to win it. They should be very proud of the effort that they put forward, even with the chaos that ensued in the third quarter, to find a way to get it done. So the Mavericks, look, a really good win, a gutsy win on the road as they continue to be one of the hottest teams in the league, even without their superstar in Luka Doncic tonight. More on the Dallas Mavericks win tonight over the Phoenix Suns. We'll continue to answer your chat as well. Continue to let us know where you're watching from as we dial up the Stein line when it comes to more on Luka Doncic and how the Mavericks were able to get it done in Phoenix. All that and more coming up next here on the Dlls MAVS postgame show.
But first, we are diehard Naji Marshall fans, and we hope that you guys are diehard DLS sports fans. If you don't know what we're doing here at DLS Sports, we're bringing you pre- and post-game coverage for every single game for every single team in town, including Dallas Wings, which is starting up here pretty soon. We also have a website where we cover all these teams with post-game stories, with features, with opinions, with analysis, video breakdowns, and much more. But all of that is behind a little paywall. If you want the key to the paywall or a ladder to climb above it or a big trampoline to jump right over it in one go, well, here's scanning this QR code right at the bottom of the screen, clicking the link in description, or just going to alldls.com/diehard is a great way to start, because that is how you become a diehard. When you do that, it's less than $7 a month. You get access to the entire website. You get a free shirt when you sign up. It's a great shirt. Kevin just got a couple shirts.
I did get 2 shirts.
We're not wearing any DLS stuff tonight. What the heck is wrong with us? Oh, well, you're wearing a hat.
You're wearing the hat.
False advertising, because we don't have hats yet, but there are hats on the way very soon.
Not false advertising.
You get a discount on any other merch that you want, including hoodies and mugs and all sorts of other stuff. And you get to join the DLS Discord, which was popping off tonight. Oh my God. First off, after the fight, it was popping off. Secondly, after Maxi just did anything, the Discord was popping off.
You got a steal, and I looked down, and 5 messages appeared instantaneously.
It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. And the chat does peak at various points, during like big moments in games. But I think like Maxi doing anything nice was like probably the most hype the Discord has ever been.
They've been wanting something good from Maxi for a while now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think, though, I realize now what I should have got you for Christmas was a Naji Marshall diehard card.
Oh my God.
Personal diehard card.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
A 1 of 1.
God, I got to send that to D-Line so we can make that some merch here for the company. But yeah, there's plenty of reasons to be a diehard. Hey, the Mavs keep giving us reasons to watch, and it's just been such a fun season hanging out with all of y'all here on YouTube.
Go to alldlls.com, become a diehard member today for less than $7 a month. Join our family here at DLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe wherever you see all of our podcasts and videos as well for the Rangers, Stars, and Mavericks, and of course the Cowboys as well. As we continue here on the DLS MAVS postgame show, I got to read this chat because Katya is in there cutting up. She says that PH and X are brothers and sisters over there in Phoenix. Said just use the Naji Twitter header and said, quote, "As we all know, God would be the one to throw the second punch and not turn the other cheek," end quote. That's what Phoenix is feeling right now.
Interesting.
Shout out to Katya.
Interesting. I think that they're mad. Are they mad?
Oh, they're upset.
Are they mad? Huh.
Look, man.
Tune in.
I would be if I had to watch Nurkic play 82 nights a year. That's all.
Phoenix is hot right now. Denver is hot. Apparently, they're cooked right now because they lost again. Yeah, we're having a good night though here at the DLS.
Someday we got to get technology like they have on the original Star Trek, where we just hit a button and there's another screen where we zoom. We can bring in the other shit. We can like we can conference them in.
Does Eric look happy?
Oh my God.
What, Eric? What's my
nightmarish vibes in the P? Don't go troll them or anything. Don't be weird or annoying.
They look they look
oh my
not
God.
thrilled with the PHNX Suns podcast. They're doing their show right now as we do ours as well. But it's time to dial up the Stein line here on the Dlls MAVS postgame show. I see over nearly 400 people watching. I only see 80 likes. I need 100 likes by the time we get done with our show.
Dude, there's so many sickos just like us that want to stay up late on the weekend and talk hoops.
And shout out to y'all for doing it,
It's
over the
awesome.
holiday season as well. And hopefully y'all had a safe and happy holidays so far as we get ready to turn the calendar from 2024 to 2025. Unfortunately, that's the next time we'll see Luka Doncic is in 2025 in terms of being on the floor. I know, Tanner. I know, man. I'm sorry. Of course, Luka Doncic is missing the game tonight. Will be missing the next at least month with his calf strain. And Mark, a team that gets a win tonight, proving that they continue to win games without him, now 7-2 without Doncic. A good sign for this team, but obviously they want to get their superstar back as quickly as possible, knowing what he's dealing with right now.
Yeah, and I think really they can't even look at it like that. Like because he has had a calf injury literally since the day before the season started. And he's been dealing with one thing after another. We remember in the playoffs, it was one ailment after another, and he just needs to take whatever time is required to get right. And look, I know everybody came into this season thinking this is the year the Mavs are going to finish first, second, or third in the West. They're going to secure home court. They're not going to have to go through what they went through last year in the playoffs. But
Luka's going to win the MVP this year.
that can't be. None of that can be the priority. Awards, playoff seeding, it all goes out the window. He needs as long as it takes to get right, so when he is back, he's back. And the fortune for this team, I mean, like again, today, I don't want to go too far because, Phoenix is basically a 500 team, and they have not had their main three together. Very, very rarely have they had Durant and Booker and Beal all together. And, Durant needs more help, frankly, for Phoenix to do anything to achieve anything close to what their aspirations are. But again, to go into this game with no Luka, no Lively, and have to deal with no PJ and no Naji for most of the second half and still find a way on the road to bounce back from Wednesdays, from many, many layers of disappointment on Christmas Day. This was a very impressive statement win. Not so much for the opponent, but just situationally what they did. Now they're going to go to Portland.
That's a long flight. It's a long night for them.
What kind of team are they going to have tomorrow? I mean, we all want to know how the league is going to react to this. My first instinct would have been, okay, all three of these guys were ejected, and that's where it stops. But, Naji did throw a punch. It didn't land, but, I mean, it was a clear punch. So I don't even know if I can give you a guesstimate on how the league will react. Like I said, my initial thought was they all got ejected and the league would maybe leave it there, but they're going to take a look at it. And
no, throwing a punch is an automatic one-game suspension.
Yeah, I mean,
so Naji will miss a game.
Yeah,
unless for some reason they look at that and decide that was not a punch, or unless there's like some qualifier about, well, he didn't make contact, so he's good. But yes, as far as I understand it, like throw a punch, sit a game. Like there's no interpretation to that. Yeah,
I would. Yeah. So I mean, PJ is going to be fine.
Yeah,
but then just. It is a back-to-back, and right away you think, is Portland a game that you can get away with giving Kyrie a rest? Because again, he's now played 28 out of 31 games.
Mm-hmm. It looked like it in the second half.
Yes,
he was
and he didn't have it after hitting his first 4 threes.
Yeah.
So, is Portland a game you can get away with resting him? I don't know. As shorthanded as they are, because we don't know if they're going to have Lively back. You assume obviously Luka's out. You assume
Naji be out.
Like
You might be in a situation where you're forced to play Kyrie tomorrow.
So, I mean,
Or if you're that down, shorthanded, do you just say, maybe if Kyrie plays, you can't even feel. If you don't feel like you can guarantee the win because you're so shorthanded, even if Kyrie's out there, then maybe you sit Kyrie and you say, well, let's see what happens. Because they could still beat Portland.
To lose that game.
It would be.
Yeah, because that's the thing. This is a great chance to just sweep a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
100%.
you've got a Sacramento team that, okay, the Kings
Ooh,
might
boy.
be, maybe they get the new coach bounce, but they're a mess. So I mean, you really have an opportunity on, the road trip ends in Houston. So I mean, that's a very tough assignment. But after starting the way they started, I mean, there's a chance to pick up a couple more wins here. So, and this is the kind of calculus they're going to be doing for the next several weeks, because January's brutal for everybody. The Mavs have 16 games in January, but January's a grind for every team in the league.
They're pretty much playing every other day in
Yeah.
January.
So it's some very difficult sledding is ahead.
And the team, obviously, like their calculation involves a lot of medical science and then just directly like, Kyrie, how do you feel? Kyrie, can you go play another 35 minutes?
And by the way,
Yes, he
Kyrie
could.
just said he just did his turn at the podium and said about tomorrow that he does anticipate playing.
Okay.
Quote, "For sure,
we
bro.
go.
Come on, man. We can't drop any games. This is an important part of the season. This is where teams either start dropping off or improving."
That's
via-
true. Yeah, that's the right
via-
attitude.
That's
Yeah.
via Grant Afseth in the press room in Phoenix. So
What a guy, dude.
I guess Kyrie says he's playing.
I mean,
Shows you what I know.
I'm about to say, well, I mean,
I would have agreed with you, honestly.
the sense of urgency is there for this team. I mean, as many wins as you can steal with your superstar being away, the better it's going to be, obviously, when he returns. And I think Kyrie senses that even at the age of 32, playing over 35 minutes a game. Mark mentioned playing 28 of the first 31 games. Kyrie Irving's been playing at an all-star level. While, yes, the shot wasn't falling in the second half, they're continuing to need his leadership on and off the floor to be able to kind of guide them through this situation that they're dealing with missing Luka Doncic. And the Mavericks are in a stretch right now playing 5 of 6 games on the road. Kyrie understands that the Mavericks have a chance to be able not only to get the back-to-back wins against the Suns tonight and against Portland tomorrow, but to continue this quote-unquote momentum that they have and how well they've been playing even without Luka Doncic for the foreseeable future. I think that's, as Bobby mentioned, that's a great way to look at it in terms of the perspective that the 14-year veteran has.
And I'm nitpicking. Can I have one quick thing? I'm nitpicking, but you said steal wins. And again, I just think this is a really good team. And yes, they're not as good of a team, but this is a team that's going to win. This is, in the past, when Luka's been hurt, it has been catastrophic. It has been it has been factual that the sky is falling, that nothing good is going to happen to this team, that any wins they get are by luck. This is a really good team. This remains a really good team, and they're going to win games even when Luka's, even in this month that Luka's not out there. They're not the best version of the team that they're going to be when Luka gets back, when he's fully healthy. But this is a really, really good team. This is like a top 5 team in the NBA. There's no disputing it. There's no disputing it at all. And
This is objectively a very good team.
yeah. And as you see them keep winning games,
Yeah.
and 16 of the
15 of the last 19?
15 of the last 19, a bunch of those came without Luka.
Jose Alvarado of the Pelicans responding to the Nurkic versus Naji dust-up, and I got Naji.
I once said there was a game in 2021 between the Mavs and Lakers when Dorian and Andre Drummond got mixed up, and Dorian gave Drummond a look, and I was like, I would take Dorian over Andre Drummond, without even thinking about it. And at the time on a stream,
Yeah, Dorian about it.
yeah, and at the time on a stream for the Mavs, I said there's maybe 5 guys in the league that I would take over Dorian in a fight, and Andre Drummond is not one of them. Naji Marshall might be even spookier than Dorian. I am not ever picking against Naji Marshall, no matter how big the dude is that he's squaring up with. But I think that sitting Kyrie or losing tomorrow in general would be such a vibe drainer. This has the opportunity to be like a formative moment for the team from a cultural chemistry standpoint.
Sure.
Naji gets on Twitter and posts photos of him with Daniel Gafford and of him with P.J. Washington. Naji kind of came to Gafford's defense. P.J. kind of came to Naji's defense. There was also a moment last year right after the trade deadline. The Mavs were in Detroit, I think, when Gafford got fouled hard and P.J. came to his defense or vice versa. There were texts given in that one too. Like, these guys want to fight with each other. They're for each other, not with each other. Thank God, at least yet. But they want to fight for each other. They're coming together. You know, they're coming together. These guys are tough MFs. They're not ones to be trifled with. And I think it would just be win or lose the Houston game. If you win the next 2 games, at Portland, at Sacramento, like, the vibes are just all-time high at a turning point in the season. You're without Luka for a month. It's time to win or go home, and they're trying to win.
100 likes for the knife.
Watch Kyrie's
We
face.
appreciate our television audience joining us here on the DLS MAVS postgame show. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLS Sports on YouTube, and download and subscribe to the podcast as well. We really appreciate our television folks joining us here on the show. If you're on the YouTube side, you stay with us here on the DLS Mavs postgame show. As Mark shouted out and exclaimed, yes, over 100 likes on the DLS Mavs postgame show. Really appreciate all of you joining us here on the show. The Mavericks win 98-89.
The knife!
Winning 15 of their last 19 games. And for a team that is going to be seeing a difficult stretch of games coming up at the beginning of January, getting this road win over the Phoenix Suns, now 9-2 in their last 11 road games, finding different ways to win. Maxi Kleber was fantastic tonight, his best game of the season, 15 points, 7 rebounds. A team in Dallas that now continues its road trip tomorrow when they take on the Portland Trail Blazers, a team that's now 20-11 on the season and playing like one of the best teams in the league. And Mark, I did want to ask you this because you had mentioned, part of this road trip that the Mavericks are going to be having is on Monday when they take on the Sacramento Kings. The Kings today fired Mike Brown, who was the unanimous coach of the year for 2023. If you haven't seen Michael Malone's comments, the Denver Nuggets head coach's comments on the Sacramento Kings situation, I implore you to see that because he had some very poignant things to say.
No class, no balls.
That's exactly what he said, actually. But it felt like, and help us out here in terms of the perspective that the Kings are taking on this. Firing this coach, yes, I think it's 15 of their last. It's been a difficult stretch. I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah, look, it's not shocking that they fired him, even though I don't think it's justified because, again, he's the most successful coach. Their last coach with a winning record before Mike Brown was Rick Allman in his last season in Sacramento, which was 05-06. They did not have a coach with a winning season again until Mike Brown got there. They made the playoffs in his first year. They ended the longest playoff drought known to man, 16 straight years out of the playoffs. He got them to the playoffs. Last year, they lost in the play-in. Of course, they beat Golden State. Everyone thought they'd avenge their nemesis. Then they ended up losing to the Pelicans, and that was bad because they were 0-6 against the Pelicans last season, which is really hard to do. And they just went 0-5 on a homestand, disastrous homestand. And it's the classic case of it's the easiest change they could make.
Sure.
And they don't have a lot of trade optionality. So again, even though I think it would have been an unfair firing under any circumstances. The shock around the league isn't so much the firing, but the way they did it.
Yeah.
He ran practice today. He did media today. Michael Malone, the Nuggets coach, is the one who revealed Mike Brown got a phone call on the way to the team flight to Los Angeles. That is how he was informed he was being fired. What changed? You got to do this in the morning before practice. Nothing changed. Like, that is just a shocking way to dismiss a guy who has really changed the culture there. And De'Aaron Fox himself has talked about the stability that Mike Brown has brought to that franchise. So the circumstances of again, a lot of people around the league are upset about the firing, but the circumstances have ratcheted up that frustration even more. And yeah, the whole league was looking at the Kings anyway, because De'Aaron Fox has not signed an extension he was eligible for. Rich Paul, De'Aaron Fox's agent, was in Sacramento at the start of this 0-5 homestand to talk to Kings officials. What are you guys going to do to make this team better? And it's just gone. It just went so fast. it just went so south so fast. And I mean, it's like, again, there have been some messy firings. I mean, it's my 32nd year, so I'm sure if I really went through the history, I could come up with similar examples maybe. But to have the guy run your practice, talk to the media, and you call him on the way to the airport, it's not even done face to face.
Pathetic.
I mean, that's an all-timer.
That's pathetic.
It's almost like the time when Lane Kiffin got fired on the tarmac. That was wild when USC did that. But that's another conversation for another day. I mentioned that because the Mavericks will see them on Monday on December 30th as part of their road trip.
By the way, did you guys catch this? By the way, Kyrie spoke in the Mavs locker room.
I have the quote. I have the full quote.
You go for it.
Or is that the full quote? I don't want to take your thunder.
No, you read it. You have a laptop. You probably have more words than me.
So so Kyrie in his post game, I've already seen some people in chat mention it too, but Kyrie said about the altercation, I was a little confused, which if you've seen the video of Kyrie's reaction, it is very clear that he's just completely confused.
Yes.
It happened so quickly. Moments like that, you just want everybody to be protecting themselves. I feel like that's what PJ was doing for Naji. Naji, after he got hit, he was just protecting himself. If we're out on the street, even if we're not playing basketball, you got to put your hands up and at least swing back. I'll take care of this fine. PJ's fine. Their ejections, yeah, throw that S under the rug, man. Excuse my language. It's part of basketball sometimes. Haven't seen it. Maybe that's just the way we end 2024 where somebody actually swings in the NBA. Maybe that'll help our ratings. So Kyrie Irving agrees. Naji Marshall just saved basketball. Thank you, base Naji.
I love that. A lot of levity and perspective from Kai there.
I'm sure those guys appreciate, though, if he's really paying their fine. That is a very nice gesture.
That is, because it's not going to be a cheap find. A game check?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's a great teammate. Mavericks get it done 98-89 over the Phoenix Suns, move to 20-11 on the season. Now have won 15 of their last 19 games. They continue their road trip tomorrow against the Portland Trail Blazers. Late start time, boys and girls. The Mavericks tip off Bobby Carella at 9 p.m. tomorrow night.
You're making me so mad right
in
now.
Portland.
So this show's going to be after midnight tomorrow.
We will be starting at this time tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be starting.
Seriously,
Don't
guys,
say things like
guys,
that.
We
If you say them out loud, that means they might actually become true.
we got to go past 500 tomorrow. An after midnight show that cracks. Let's go for at least 750. Tell all your friends. Meet us up here. I want to see every flag known to man in that chat room. Every state represented.
I say
Let's
that to
do it.
say, join us for our pregame show at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night on DLS Sports here.
Illegal.
For DLS Mavs.
Illegal.
Hey, you know what would make you even happier? The Mavericks play another 9 o'clock game on Monday when they take on the Sacramento
I'm going to
Kings.
Naji Marshall you, all right?
So back-to-back 9 p.m. start times for your Mavs. But please join us tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. for the DLS Mavs pregame show.
Madness after dark.
As we will get you ready for the Mavericks taking on
Me watching
the Portland
Dinwiddie.
Trail Blazers. Again, thank you so much for joining us here on our post-game show. Shout out to all of you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the way out the door for the DLS Mavs post-game show.
basketball.
For our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carell, that is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLS Mavs. Mavs win 98-89. They keep the good times rolling as they get ready to take on the Portland Trail Blazers tomorrow night. We'll talk to them. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.